In my most recent lava-related video, Sean Wilsey explained how these really cool vertical lava tree tubes form. But the lava tubes that we're all familiar with are typically horizontal. And although lava tubes are a common tourist attraction in regions that have experienced relatively recent basaltic lava flows, we don't often get to hear about how exactly they form. So on my trip to Craters of the Moon in Idaho with Sean, I took the chance to ask him about how these incredible tunnel structures form while we were inside one.
We are in a really cool lava tube. What's up with that? How do lava tubes form?
What is up with this lava tube? Yeah, so lava tubes are pretty awesome. In most places where you have caves, they're formed by groundwater dissolving out rock, creating a solution cavern. But in places in the West and other places, a lot of our caves are like this. They're lava tubes. They're places where we had a lava channel, so basically a river of lava at the surface. It can crust over, so the surface of the lava is cooling in contact with the air, crusts over, and then that insulates the rest of the lava flow, which can continue for, a long time, maybe months, maybe longer, traveling vast distances. But eventually the supply of lava wanes and the lava level drops, and we're left with a hollowed out cavern and a lava tube system like we're in here. And we see cool things like this where the lava that was molten along the walls, as it drained out and down, you get these drip features on the walls of the cave and on the ceiling, just really cool textures.
Oh, so cool. Yeah, get some of the ceiling. And you can see like the vesicles in the ceiling. And there's more up here than as you go down, there's less. And I imagine just because all the bubbles go up there.
Yeah, gases are rising. There's a little less pressure on it there. But yeah, I mean, where we're at now was like, this was a 2,000 degree Fahrenheit molten body of lava just a couple thousand years ago, and now it's ironic because now you go up top and it's kind of warm, summertime, and it's a lot cooler down here. So they're really good insulators, and they keep the air a lot cooler.
So essentially, lava erupts and flows out from a volcano. The outer surface of that lava cools first because it's exposed to air, while underneath that insulating outer shell, the lava keeps flowing. Because an insulated channel develops, the flow becomes more efficient, faster, hotter, and more concentrated. And eventually the eruption slows or stops, and the molten lava drains out, and that leaves behind a hollow tube. But you might wonder, why don't they stay filled? Where does the lava drain? Well, the tubes themselves are just conduits for the lava. They only stay filled if the lava is still actively flowing. Lava flows downhill from its eruption vent. So it drains out of the lava tube in the original direction of flow until it pools somewhere downhill of the tube. And when the lava supply stops completely, the inner walls of the lava tube are still molten, and gravity pulls the lava downward as it cools, which creates some pretty awesome features inside lava tubes. One of my favorites are lava stalactites, or as I like to call them, lava sickles, that hang down from the ceiling. These aren't like normal cave stalactites that form very slowly from dripping water, precipitating out calcium carbonate over thousands of years. Lava tube stalactites form relatively quickly as molten lava drips from the ceiling as the tube cools. You can also often see flow lines that record different lava levels as the tube drained. Also, lava benches or terraces mark pauses in lava flow height, and even lava falls, which are places where lava cascaded down internal drops. And these structures aren't just cool to look at, they also record important information like the ancient lava flow's velocity, lava depth, cooling rates, and flow fluctuations. Lava tubes can be found here in Idaho, in Hawaii, northeastern California, Oregon, Iceland, and pretty much any other basaltic volcanic setting. The reason basalt is perfect for forming lava tubes is because it has relatively low viscosity. In other words, it's more runny than other more silica-rich lava, so this allows it to flow in a liquid-like state, whereas more silica-rich or continental or rhyolitic lava tends to erupt more explosively in ashy explosions or pyroclastic flows, which are typically too fast and turbulent to allow tubes to form. But did you know lava tubes can form on planets other than Earth? Yep, it turns out lava tubes also exist on places like the Moon and Mars. For example, the Moon's lower gravity and lack of atmosphere means that lava could flow much further and tubes got much larger. Scientists think some lunar lava tubes could be massive enough to shelter future human habitats. I mean, imagine flying to the moon to go to the lava tube headquarters. But what's especially cool about the lava tubes on the moon is how old they are. Here on Earth, lava tubes are relatively young, typically thousands of years old, because older tubes get eroded and recycled by geological processes. Whereas on the moon, many of the tubes are billions of years old. This is because the moon has no atmosphere, no liquid water erosion, and no plate tectonics to break down and recycle the tubes. And Mars has similar volcanic plains, but their ages are a bit more complicated. Some of the lava tubes on Mars are thought to be billions of years old, but others are thought to be much younger, potentially just a few million years, or even hundreds of thousands of years old, which is part of the reason we think that Mars is not completely tectonically dead. But that's a story for another time. Anyway, with all that said, lava tubes are awesome, and I hope you'll go explore a lava tube in person now. As always, huge thanks again to Sean Wilsey for walking us through the volcanic story here at Craters of the Moon, and stay tuned for our next Craters video about volcanic bombs and the difference between spatter cones and cinder cones.